Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chat from a Hat. I'm your host, Josh Brown, along with my co-host,
Caleb Luther.
Caleb. How are you, buddy? How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good today. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I cannot complain. Of course, it is Friday. We are back recording another fun episode of this podcast.
A classic.
But Caleb, we did get some upsetting news this week. Miss Tina Turner passed away day before yesterday, I believe, Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. Quite sad indeed. I don't know if you were a really big Tina Turner fan or knew a lot about her music.
Not really, unfortunately. Maybe I will now.
Well, she's an icon.
I know that. Yeah,
she is very. I do like a lot of Tina Turner's stuff. It's sad. It's quite sad for the rock and roll community. So, quite sad. Quite sad. You know what's there's always that time when, an artist passes away or something like that, and you go on social media and things and you see like a flood of great things, but then there's always a select few people that always like talk crap about an artist. Like they say something negative about them, like, oh, their song sucked or something like that. I didn't see a bit of that for Tina Turner.
Well, yeah, I didn't.
Not a bit, man.
Honestly, I didn't see a lot of the positive ones either, though. I didn't usually. I mean, I don't want to compare deaths, but let's say like when Prince died, it was just like all over the place. I guess this may be like what Facebook has turned into now, where you don't see everything as much as like Instagram now. Like most stuff I see isn't even from people that I follow. And it's one of those things I'm just now noticing it. And I noticed that my likes and other people that I follow's likes on Instagram have went down because it just kind of like shows you like famous
people you may know.
It kind of just shows you famous people's stuff instead of people that you that you actually know. So yeah, it's likely that there was even way more stuff on my Facebook about Tina Turner that I just didn't.
You didn't see.
It just it wasn't showing it to me.
Yeah.
So. Social media.
Well, rest in peace, Tina Turner. Definitely will be missed. I wish that she would have been able to make some more music before she passed away, but she was very ill, and it came out today that she was that was the reason. Caleb, we'll move on from that somber note about Tina Turner to last week's episode, the Jimmy Eat World Draft. Caleb, we got a lot of feedback on this episode, actually.
Did we?
Yeah, we actually did. Like I was talking about last week, I put this in the Jimmy Eat World fan group, and I happened to get a bunch of comments actually on this, and I'm going to go through some of these because they're really good comments. Christopher Kelly said that I won, but they were or he was upset because Firefight didn't make either of our lists.
Yeah, that old Firefight. What is that one again? What is that song again?
Is it on Chase This Light? I think?
Probably. If it is, then that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone, Kevin Kroeger, God, if I butchered that name, I'm so sorry, Kevin.
Yeah.
I hate to say this because it openly goes against 23, which I am never in business of, but Caleb.
Oh.
Kudos to me, though, for having invented.
Oh, I was going to get it, though.
Brian Allen said, neither of you because you didn't pick the most beautiful things.
See, there's some Jimmy World songs I just don't know. I mean, I just...
You know them, you just don't actively listen to them.
It's clearly on an album that isn't one of my favorite albums, so I just rarely revisit it,
Austin Dingus said, very tough. Caleb has some solid closers in the late rounds with Through, A Sunday, and If You Don't. But I have to give it to Josh because Kill, Invented, and Pass the Baby are impossible to pass up.
Well, that's funny because Pass the Baby isn't that good. Sorry, guy. Just kidding, man.
Susie Knuckles said there are so many great songs on both, but it's genuinely evenly matched. But Josh just gets the win for me.
Josh got a few of those singles.
Heather said this is tough because because both have a bunch of awesome songs, but both also have songs that I am not a huge fan of.
Okay.
And she said Night Drive and Pass the Baby. Also, she said R.I.P. to Chase This Light.
Those are the divisive ones, I guess.
Josh Colombo said both have great songs, but I think the strongest list is Caleb's. And Josh actually was the guy from Australia that I was telling you that was listening to the podcast. So Josh, if you're listening,
cool.
welcome to the fun.
Yeah.
And Maven Avila said, "I'm going Josh because he chose Invented, aka the greatest song of all of them." So
it's a bit of a reach.
It's a bit of a reach. It is very reach.
It's very good.
Well, Caleb, I tallied it up in the Jimmy Eat World Facebook group, and I tallied up the votes on your status today.
The one that was just posted today.
The one that was just posted
today.
Like
7 or 8 votes.
And with a score of 13-7.
Oh, I definitely lost.
I won.
Yeah, I definitely lost.
So
it's okay.
But hey, here's the thing. Both our lists were good. If you take those 30 songs and put them together, you're going to get a really good idea of Jimmy Eat World, and you're going to get arguably their best songs. So
no, you're wrong.
I know.
Pass the Baby because
Chase This Life is not on there.
Pass the Baby and Night Drive is just too much. Those two songs.
How dare you? Oh, how dare you? Well, Caleb, we had fun with that episode last week.
Yeah, a little niche.
Niche.
But I'm glad that it got some. I'm glad there's a group on Facebook that
enjoyed it.
Because on our own individual Facebook's not much traction happened.
That's okay. I mean,
that's fine. I expected that.
We make the podcast for us. For us, damn it.
Yeah. Except sometimes no.
Taylor Swift draft.
Yeah. The Jimmy Eat World was definitely for
us. In the Billy Joel draft, which is
I don't know, that
totally
was
for us. That was totally for us.
That got me way back. That rejuvenated my love for Billy Joel. Honestly, seriously.
Okay. So can I make a quick? Can we talk a quick story real quick?
I guess.
Can we have a quick story?
Go for it.
So Nancy and I last week went to Sullivan's Records, and the whole reason that we went to Sullivan's Records is because I picked up Kiss's Revenge record, which I had been looking for, and I also picked up the new Ghost vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk up to the glass, and he has Billy Joel live at Yankee Stadium triple vinyl. And I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to get that. I look at Nancy and say, I think I'm going to get that. She's like, but why? I said, because it's Billy Joel and I want it. She's like, she goes, you and Caleb have been on this big Billy Joel kick the last month now.
Because it's great.
And and she was like, is this something that you're actually going to listen to all the time or put on the record player or anything like that? I went, yeah, probably I will. I didn't leave Sullivan's with it, and I regret not picking. I do regret not picking that up because I believe Billy might be the next. While collecting Kiss, will probably be the next person that I collect.
Well, did that record, is that from '75?
What?
That concert?
No, it's from 1990. So it was right after. It was right after.
Okay, so it's
when Stormfront
it's probably
came
got
out.
a lot of great songs on it.
Yeah, it's got it's got a lot of. It's got the hits from Stormfront on it. It's got the hits from. It's got a lot of The Stranger on it. It's got a lot of 52nd Street on it. So I mean, it's a good collect. Yeah, it's a good collection of songs.
Yeah.
And it's like 23, 24 songs on 3 vinyls.
Okay.
And it was like $50. So I was like, But she wouldn't let me get it.
$50.
And if she's listening to, but it's a triple vinyl.
That's
good for a triple vinyl.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I was in Walmart this morning looking at their vinyls because sometimes they'll always have a couple Tyler the Creator vinyls that I'll just never buy because they're so accessible. I don't want them.
Yeah, right.
I like to get the ones that I never see this, but they have the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 soundtrack, and I was looking at it, and it's a double vinyl. It's got four sides to it, and I was looking. I was like, you know what? Song for song, this has my favorite songs on it. It's like, but do I really want this?
I understand
that. Do I really want this? I'd almost rather just have the vinyls of the songs that the albums are actually from, the albums.
Yeah.
But I was looking at that, I was like, oh man, this might actually be my favorite Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. But it's not as 70s one hit wonderish as because in this new one, in Volume 2, they give Peter the Zune, so it has songs from the 90s and 2000, so it incorporates that too, and I think that's a lot of people are thrown off by that. And I'm like, no, this makes sense. It's like I like the Flaming Lips. I like the Flaming Lips a lot. This
Continuity, folks.
It's like, come on, guys, you guys got to keep up. This happened at the end of Volume 2. But yeah, I thought about buying that, but I didn't.
This just in, Casey King told me to tell you that you can't dunk.
I can't now. I definitely can't now. That's for sure. But I could.
But no, it's I'm getting to the point where I'm finding that my musical palette is becoming more vast to things that once I'm really getting into them, I'm seeing that it's not a phase when it comes to music. It's not a phase. It's not a phase, Mom. When it comes to music, so I definitely will be collecting Billy Joel.
You know when you really get into something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is gonna last.
Yeah, this is gonna last. Yeah. It's not just something like. Same thing happened with like Fleetwood Mac and stuff like that. It's like I listened to Fleetwood Mac and heard like their greatest hits, and then digging deeper into their catalog, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be one of my favorite bands.
Speaking of Fleetwood Mac, I started a show that's on Prime. Mm-hmm. It's called Daisy Jones and the Six, and it's about a fictional rock band. But that rock band is a lot like Fleetwood Mac.
Well,
like because it starts as this one band, and they get torn apart or whatever, and then they bring in a new singer, and it's Daisy Jones. And even like the font reminds me of like Fleetwood Mac font. I'm only a few episodes in, but it's pretty cool. It's music.
I'll check it out.
It's got some very very generic by the numbers things, but it's got original music at the very least. Yeah,
that sounds fun.
Moving on.
That's right. So, Caleb, today our topic is A24.
Yeah, this is one of the first topics we put in the hat. I know some people recommended it, but we threw that was one of the first. That was one of the first things we threw in there. Like, we can make an episode of this. There's enough. So I've been excited.
There's enough, and we've seen a lot of this.
There's still a lot that we haven't seen, but we've seen enough. And similar to the Pixar episode, I was very excited just to be able to do research so I can bring my laptop in for once.
Yep.
Some episodes are cool to just sort of like wing it and go through like your own like personal feelings, but an episode like this where you're covering like so many movies that's a part of something, it's cool to have a little bit of research with. So yeah, I am looking forward to this A24 episode.
Well, Caleb, you are going to be taking the reins on this one, so where are we starting with A24?
Let's start at the beginning.
Oh my God!
The year 2012.
The
world is about to end. A24 comes to the rescue.
Apparently the world is about to end in whatever that one movie was called. Was that 2012 with John Cusack?
Was he in that? Yeah,
I think
and
so.
Woody Harrelson was in it.
Yeah.
We
don't talk about that movie.
A24 is a film distribution company based in New York City. Was launched by Daniel Katz, David Finkel, and John Hodges in August 2012. So it's been around. The first movie didn't come out till 2013, but they've been around since 2012. And, A24 is also famous for its artistic horror films, known for being psychologically disturbing and mind-bending. They are considered as a pioneer in modern horror, and often referred as elevated horror, quote unquote elevated horror. I know a lot of people don't love that term, but that is the term that it has become. And most of these films are similar, have a similar approach, including ambiguity, bleak atmosphere, disruptive formulas, outbursts of violence, psychological dilemmas, and realistic character drama. Does that sound like A24?
Typical Hollywood BS is what it sounds like.
Just the same old
stuff all the time.
But speaking of me mentioning that A24 is a film distribution company, recently the internet community has really liked to jump down people's throats when someone says that there's a new A24 movie coming out by stating that, well, they're just distributing the movie. And then they compare it to are you going to compare A24 to Warner Brothers? Knowing good and well that there is a huge difference between whatever movies A24 decides to distribute and whatever movies Warner Brothers decides to distribute. Because it's crazy. People, whenever someone's enjoying something, they just no, you can't enjoy this. A24 sucks. It's overrated. They're just a distribution company.
Well, but here's the thing, though. With it feels like for A24 that they have this thing called quality control when it comes to their movies.
A high percentage at the very least. A very high percentage.
If you look at, and I'm sure we're going to get into this, the more you look into their Rotten Tomatoes score and their critic score and their audience scores on a lot of their movies, which I don't know if that's what we're going to cover today or not.
Maybe a little bit of audience score because there's some very divisive.
There's some very divisive movies. People can say that that the A24 movies might suck or something like that, and they may not be into them. But one thing about the movies is that they are a quality company that distributes their movies. They're not going out of their way to distribute B and C movies. They're not out here putting out Sharknado.
Yeah.
They're not putting out The Room or Big Shark or whatever Tommy Wiseau's getting ready to put out.
Yeah. Well, a more accurate comparison that's not Warner Bros. Would be something like a Neon or Annapurna, like these independent film distribution companies that distribute a very specific style of film. And on top of that, they're totally wrong, because A24 does produce a handful of movies like Midsommar, The Lighthouse, Uncut Gems, Beau's Afraid. Usually they'll latch onto a director that they really like and be like, okay, we're going to produce this director's movies. Like Ari Aster has become almost like a poster child for A24 with the 3 movies that he's done. So
yes,
so they have produced some movies while distributing more than just producing. They still produce some. So yeah, A Glimpse Inside the Mind of Charles Swan III, starring Charlie Sheen. Directed by
God, I thought you were joking earlier when we were talking about Charlie Sheen.
Directed by Roman Coppola, was the first movie distributed by A24 in 2013.
Never seen it.
It's still one of the worst reviewed A24 movies with a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Probably because it's Charlie Sheen.
It was right after, the big Charlie Sheen like breakdown, meltdown. Yeah, it was right after. So they swung for the fences.
I was banging 7-gram rocks. That's how I roll.
I believe it also has Bill Murray in it.
Winning.
I remember when the trailer came out, I was excited. Like, oh, this looks pretty cool. But apparently not. But apparently not cool.
Do you have Tiger Blood?
Yeah, apparently the movie didn't, because it
apparently not.
Did not thrive. It did not have the eye of the tiger.
Oh my God! Shut up. Jesus Christ.
But later that year, they did release some movies that became more prominent movies for A24. Spring Breakers, The Bling Ring, The Spectacular Now, and Enemy were the other 2013 movies that had a significant value to them. Enemy was directed by Denis Villeneuve, and it came out just months before his wildly successful mainstream movie Prisoners, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. So, they were very close together, like within a couple months. And The Spectacular Now is the first A24 movie that I watched. Have you seen The Spectacular Now?
I haven't seen it, no.
It's good. It's a little like high school coming of age, sort of like romantic. It's not a romantic comedy, because it's kind of a heavy movie.
Honestly, the first A24 movie that's on the list will probably be Ex Machina, probably. Unless I'm wrong. Maybe. I think that is the first A24 movie that I remember seeing.
It's either Ex Machina or a movie that I'm about to bring up from 2014.
Okay.
I haven't seen Spring Breakers or The Bling Ring, but apparently that's while they are among like mainstream audiences divisive, like the A24 heads, like they really love those movies, and I just haven't seen them yet. Sorry people. Like cut me some slack here.
They have a lot of movies.
They got a lot of movies, and like more movies coming out in the mainstream, like by the year. So, but in 2014, Under the Skin, directed by Jonathan Glazer, was released. To me, this was the first incredible A24 movie, really setting a precedent for how weird future movies will be from A24.
Have I seen that?
It's got Scarlett Johansson. She plays an alien, but she looks human, and she seduces men to come back to her place and gets them naked and like boils their body in this thing, and they become like disintegrated. And it is a very weird movie, but it's very Kubrick-esque.
I don't think so.
I don't think you've seen it.
I don't think I've seen it.
I don't think you've seen it. Scarlett Johansson is very good in that movie. It's super weird movie. I remember I watched it with Dad. I was like, Dad, I don't know what's going on in this movie.
What have you got me watching, Caleb?
But that same year, this movie might have been the first A24 movie you actually watched. A24 released possibly their most divisive movie, In Tusk. Directed by Kevin
Tusk
Smith.
was the first movie.
So it might have been at the time we didn't know it was an A24 movie,
right?
Like, because A20 it wasn't like a name that everybody knew, but we I want to say that we rented Tusk, but we might have watched it illegally. I don't know.
Tusk?
Yeah.
No, I bought Tusk.
Did you buy it?
I bought Tusk.
Oh, Josh.
Yeah, I bought Tusk. I bought it on Blu-ray.
I remember the first time I watched Tusk, and I was like, that's unique. There's things in it that are awful. Like I think all of Johnny Depp's stuff is terrible. It's just awful. I'm like, I don't know what he's doing. And there's this one scene where it's like a flashback where he actually meets with the I guess let's call him the killer, whatever. And It's an awful scene. It's one of the worst scenes I've seen in a movie. It's just, I don't know what's happening acting-wise in that scene. But then there's other stuff. I'm like, this is legitimately, like, unsettling.
I don't think Kevin Smith knew what he was doing.
I'll give him this. It doesn't lack ambition.
No.
Tusk, and he was in his horror phase. Did you watch Red State?
Yes.
Okay, I think Red State is a much better horror movie. Red State's bothersome.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very, like, upsetting movie that still somewhat balances the comedy. This at times loses its way, and depending on who you are, I don't know how you're going to react when the big reveal comes. You might be like, "Oh my god," and then you might be like, "What on earth is that?
What is
happening? What happened to Justin Long?"
Well, I can tell you, but it would be a spoiler, and we don't want to spoil much.
Well, I'm not. Listen, I'm not going to encourage people to watch Tusk. I think it's,
I
still think it's the worst A24 movie that I've seen.
Well.
I like most of them.
We get to the end of the top 10 here.
I know some people that think that Tusk is the worst movie they've ever seen, and I'm like, you know what? That's valid.
That's valid. It's not great, but I'm like you. I think it's ambitious, and Kevin had a vision. I don't know what that vision was, but he had a vision, and he got to make the movie he wanted to, and God bless A24 for doing it for him.
And if anything, it was just another notch in the belt. Notch in his belt buckle for Justin Long, implementing himself as a scream queen, because my God, he is in so many like horror movies.
Yeah,
so usually a jerk.
Yep,
he's kind of a jerk in this and in Barbarian. Oh my God,
Barbarian. He's awful.
He's not a jerk in Drag Me to Hell, but he's not like great. he's not like a great.
He's
guy.
not like the best. He's not like the cool person.
And in Jeepers Creepers, he doesn't do anything wrong, and poor him. He just gets
obliterated, and it's fine.
But moving on to 2015. Was a huge year for
we're getting into the good stuff.
Are you going to say the meat and
potatoes?
Potatoes.
2015. I'm just going to get us T-shirts made that says "Chat from a Hat."
2015 was the year that I saw my first A24 movie in theaters, and that was of course Ex Machina. And also
it was my first one as well.
So in 2015, Ex Machina, Room, and Amy, which was the Amy Winehouse documentary, were the first A24 movies.
I forget Amy was a A24 movie.
Yeah, they were the first A24 movies to receive Oscar nominations, and they won like all of them. Like Brie Larson won. Brie Larson won Best Actress. Amy won Best Documentary Feature, and Ex Machina, surprisingly, I don't know if you remember this, won Best Visual Effects, and it was over. Yeah. I'm trying to think what it beat that year. It beat something.
Look it up.
It beat something that I was like, oh my God, I did not expect it to beat that.
What was the?
It would have been 2016 Oscars.
2016 Oscars. Go ahead, continue.
But
while I look this up.
Yeah, A24. It was shortly after this where A24 also became a production company on top of being a distribution company, which made sense. You know, they really they got their foot in the door and they're taking off with some big Oscar wins. It was one of their bigger years for the Oscars when. Considering it was their first year actually getting nominated. Do you got any info for that yet?
I'm still looking.
Visual effects, 2016. Well, other 2015 releases that I really enjoyed were The End of the Tour and While We're Young. I don't think you've seen those, but they are very good indie dramas.
Wow.
What was it, Josh?
Okay, so Ex Machina beat out Mad Max Fury Road.
That makes sense because that's more of like a practical.
The Martian, The Revenant, and Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Okay, I think, yeah, all those are heavy hitters, but Ex Machina with its low budget, the subtle visual effects in that are flawless.
But I just have a question.
Yeah.
Are you about to tear up this mother effing dance floor? Is that what you're about to do?
Ex Machina is great.
It is great. It's fantastic.
Alex Garland's directorial debut, and Alex Garland, his next directorial movie is one of my favorite movies, which was Annihilation. And Ex Machina is great. So glad that our theater got. I was very surprised when our theater got that. Yep. I watched it twice.
We watched. You and I watched that in a matinee in like it was on a Sunday, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
And I think we watched it at like 3 p.m. and it was great. It was so good.
It has good bits of humor in it, disturbing, good drama,
great cast,
established great visual effects. Yeah, I think that was the first thing I've seen Alicia Vikander in. Same. That's still my favorite performance from her.
I believe it might have been the first movie that I'd seen any of them in.
Oscar Isaac, I'd seen Drive and Inside Llewyn Davis, and so had you, I think.
Oh yeah.
He plays the boyfriend in Drive of Carey
right.
Mulligan. Yeah,
you're right.
I don't know if have you seen Inside Llewyn Davis?
Yeah, okay. we watched it. We watched it at Nathan's once.
So that came out in 2013.
Yep.
And also he was in obviously The Force Awakens, but that was later that year.
That was later that year.
And one of my favorite A24 movie's Room, which is just a gut punch.
Yep.
And
Room is fantastic.
I'm sure now, like, more people know about it, but at the time, going into that, like, you don't know what that movie's going to be. If you just avoid the trailer. I can't even remember if the trailer gives away anything, but structurally, it's fascinating because the first half is a different movie than the second half, but both of them are very important to complement each other. But that first half is some of the tensest stuff I've seen in a movie, and the payoff of that first half, it feels like the end of a movie. Yeah. But then you got a whole other half that's just like, oh my god, like this is rough. And still the best Brie Larson performance. I think she wholeheartedly deserved that Oscar. Hasn't had a performance like that since. I don't blame her for going into bigger movies. I mean, if you got it, like make that money. But
and also, after you watch the movie, go listen to the Meet Me in the Matinee song room after that, too.
Yeah, it's not as good as the movie.
It's not as good as the movie, but we did our best.
It's about the movie, at the very least.
Hey, the author liked it.
And that's our... I'm pretty sure that was Jacob Tremblay's debut as just he was like 5, and he was so good in that movie.
He was very good
now
in that
he's
movie.
in The Little Mermaid, playing Flounder or something. So.
Well, I mean... He was also in Good Boys, and look how that...
He was in Good Boys. He was in Dr. Sleep, and poor him.
Made up for it. Poor Jacob.
What a brutal scene.
Jacob.
Poor guy.
Go watch Dr. Sleep, by the way.
He'd already been through it in Room, but why? Oh, God.
Go
Mike
watch...
Flanagan
Seriously,
killing him.
Seriously, go watch Dr. Sleep.
It's good.
Side note, it's so good.
It's very good. It's nowhere close to as good as The Shining.
The director's cut is even
Haven't seen
better.
it because I can't get a hold of it.
I think it's on HBO Max.
Nah, it's not.
It's not anymore?
It's not. It was there for like a day. It's like, oh, you lost your chance.
Oh, man, that
It was during the pandemic when I didn't want to watch stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is too dark. Oh. And they're like, oh, you had your chance, Caleb. Bye.
Bye.
Never going to see it again. Same thing with the Midsommar director's cut. It was like,
oh, is it on there too?
It's not anywhere.
Oh, man.
I still haven't seen it. I got to go to a surprise Q&A where they're actually just screening Beau is Afraid, apparently, to find that one. But let's move on to 2016. 2015 was a good year. So
2015 was great.
Fantastic. But they have established themselves. Yeah. And they continued another creative and exciting year with releases from The Witch, The Lobster, Green Room, Swiss Army Man, which I don't think you've seen. It's from the Daniels.
I know what it's about.
The Daniels. I know what it's about. It was the Daniels. They directed Everything Everywhere All at Once.
So sorry.
Maybe one that you didn't think of, Oasis Supersonic.
Actually, when you said Amy, I remembered that they also did Supersonic.
Yeah,
so
they're it doesn't feel like an A24 movie because it feels somewhat standard, but it's still good.
Yep.
And Moonlight with Moonlight winning.
What a good year that was.
Winning Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actor.
Yep.
So that was their first Best Picture win.
Every single one of those movies, other than
you haven't seen Swiss Army Man, but it is very weird.
I would all of those movies would probably be in, with maybe the exception of The Lobster.
It is good, but it is
could possibly be in my top 100 movies. I'm not even kidding.
Oh yeah, The Witch and Moonlight definitely, and maybe even Green Room. Green Room's really good.
And Green Room is very tense.
Oh god, especially that's some of the most brutal violence I've seen in a
Green
movie.
Room is tense if you play in a band. Like if you play in a band, Green Room is tense. If
you find yourself in the scenario that they're gonna like, oh man, that is a true horror movie.
Yes. If you play in a band and you watch Green Room, you're gonna be like, that could happen one day.
Now, what do you think of The Lobster?
It's far-fetched.
I can't remember what you thought. It's weird.
It's weird. It's so.
I think the first half is better than the second half.
I wanted to be a lobster. I picked a lobster.
It's so weird.
It's so weird, dude.
I liked it. It's got a very, very bizarre, dark humor.
Yeah,
to it.
It's probably when it comes to humor, it's the darkest movie so far when it comes to humor from them.
Yeah, it's one of the first dark comedies that I see here, and obviously The Witch.
Nothing funny about you want to make another baby.
The Witch also got shoved into the mainstream. It came to our little city, little town theater, and obviously not a great audience reaction. I remember when we watched it, we were kind of befuddled by what we had seen, but it stuck with us. That
was one of the first times that we went to watch a horror movie, and then because it was you, me, and Gary, was it not? Our friend Gary was with us, and we watched it, and the whole way home, it was a movie that we were dissecting. We were trying to figure it out. I love that.
And since then, I haven't tried as hard. I just think atmosphere and mood, it's just like that movie's horrifying.
Yeah.
And it looks great. The acting's great. There's some really disturbing imagery in it.
Yes.
It all just really works. It's that's one of my favorite horror movies of this century.
And you taking the Dramamine or whatever it was, the Benadryl before.
If I'm not mistaken, I accidentally took Benadryl. I meant to just take a regular allergy pill, and I didn't realize it was off-brand Benadryl. And I was like, the beginning of it, I was like, I'm so tired, but I'll tell you this: I stayed awake during that movie because I was like, I am seeing things that I have never seen.
Enthralled in that movie. Of course, we all were. So,
but back to the Oscars, Moonlight, winning Best Picture. Of course, this was the year with the major
La La Land,
with the major La La Land flub. Which was
why would you even put? Okay, here's my question: why would you put La La Land on the form at all?
Well, they gave them the card that said Emma Stone, who had won Best Actress. So it said Emma Stone, La La Land. So they were reading it. It was like, what do I say here? And then the woman just said, it's La La Land. And the guy was like, I don't know. And then Jimmy Kimmel came out. And it was just a big... That was one of the most... Like, I watch the Oscars every year. And that was a very shocking night for me. And I was not surprised. Like, I liked La La Land more, but Moonlight was... just right there with it. It's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
I remember when that happened, I was like, just give them both the Oscar. Yeah. It was good. Both movies were great. Give them both.
Here's the thing. Damien Chazelle won Best Director. So in a way, it was like they were just splitting.
Yeah. But for me, it was like, just give them both one. Just give them both an Oscar and be done with it.
That's not how it works.
Well, it should have been in that time.
There can be ties at the Oscar. There have been ties, if I'm not mistaken, but not this time. But yeah. The Witch, very divisive. I think The Witch was like set like a horror standard because I think that was really the, aside from Tusk, if you want to talk about Tusk, it really was like the first like horror movie that was definitely an art house movie that they're like, you know what? Let's place this here in the mainstream in thousands of theaters. Let's see how people react to it.
And boy, people did.
And it was they did. I don't think it was the strongest reaction out of all the horror movies. That comes a little bit later, but I think The Witch has aged very well. I
do too.
I don't think there's as much hate.
I
think it's aged a little better than people expected.
Oh, yeah, I know the movie that you're going to talk about that everybody hated.
Let's move on to 2017, which is one of my favorite years in cinema. And the A24 movies that I watched was Free Fire. It has a big cast that Brie Larson's in it. It Comes at Night. Good Time, which you haven't seen. You haven't seen Good Time. The Florida Project, Lady Bird, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and The Disaster Artist. Big year.
Big year. I've only seen 3 of those.
You've seen Lady Bird, The Disaster Artist, and It Comes at Night.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Lady Bird was able to snag Oscar nominations for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Original Screenplay. It did not win a single one. It should have. It was a rough year. It was rough. It was a stacked. It was a stacked year. I'm trying to think. That was the year that The Shape of Water won Best Picture, and I believe that. I don't know if it's A20. There for a while, Lady Bird was my favorite A24 movie. We'll see if that's still the case at the end when we give our individual top 10s. But
no way is it now.
It might be. It might be.
No way.
But on top of that, Oscar-wise, Willem Dafoe got Best Supporting Actor for the Florida Project, and The Disaster Artist got a Best Adapted Screenplay. It didn't win anything at the Oscars that year. But we want to talk about the horror movie on here, and that is It Comes at Night.
It Comes at Night
was yet a majorly divisive horror movie with a massive divide between critics and audiences. It has an 88% critic score and a 44% audience score.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
It's one of those things where there was just some mismarketing going on, and if you didn't know A24, I guess I'd understand why you'd be mad, but I'd already seen a bunch of A24 movies. Yeah. I was like, this is not gonna be a monster movie. It's not gonna show whatever. The thing that comes at night is dread, is what it is.
And yes, and it goes back to the thing that is constantly said in movies, and people forget about it. Sometimes not seeing the thing makes it more tense because you never ever know.
Here's the thing: I'm not sure
what's
that there
hiding
is.
in the darkness.
I'm not sure that there is a thing. There is an apocalyptic illness, and if you catch it, you're not making it. You are not making it. And I think that the dread is the thing that comes at night, because that movie is so filled with dread. Like that movie, watching it in theaters twice, it made me sick to my stomach. I was like, oh my god, there's these like nightmare scenes towards the end. I'm like, oh my god, these are some of the most realistic depictions of what a nightmare feels like. And I guess I remember we watched that in theaters, and people were just really upset. We watched it on that preview premiere night on a Thursday. And there was a decent amount of people there because people went to the movies at the time. And
yeah, that was.
They were willing to take a chance on watching a horror movie they didn't know.
Yeah,
and maybe they shouldn't have that time because they were audibly upset.
Yeah, the marketing to that movie, even in the trailers, it made it seem like it was a big budget horror movie, in the span of something like a Cloverfield or something like that, is what it felt like.
People probably thought it was gonna be a monster.
Yeah,
movie.
like a monster, a monster movie, and that's not what it was.
It's more of a thriller.
It's
almost a psychological thriller.
Yeah. I think that movie. I also believe that would be a movie that if people went back and watched it now without seeing any sort of trailer, it would be better and be more accepted.
Kind of like, I know the stories aren't really anything alike, but it's sort of like The Village with M. Night Shyamalan, where people was expecting it to be this horrific monster movie, and it's not that. It's more of like a period piece drama that just so happens to have some thrilling elements in it. I think if people went back and watched that without their expectations of what they thought it was going to be, especially right after Signs, I think maybe some people are just so stuck. They're just stuck on what they... But another horror movie on here is The Killing of a Sacred Deer. This was a movie that came from the director of The Lobster. If you want your day ruined...
I've heard that.
I recommend watching... Let me tell you what this movie's about. This boy puts a curse on Colin Farrell's family and says, well, if you don't kill one of the members of your family, they're all going to die one by one of this illness. Like, their eyes are going to start bleeding and their ears are going to start bleeding.
Jesus Christ.
And Colin Farrell just won't do it. And so, like family members start to become, like, debilitated and can't walk, and they're, like, crawling. And it has the tone of The Lobster. Nothing's over the top. Yeah. It's, like, very subtle. And, that's a day ruiner. I highly recommend that one.
It's a day ruiner, but Caleb highly recommends it. Was there any
other ones? I remember, we like The Disaster Artist because we're big fans of The Room.
Yeah.
You haven't seen Good Time.
No.
But
I've only seen 3 of those.
Good Time is if that has to be on a streaming service, that is, for anybody that hasn't seen Good Time, that is Anxiety the movie. It's by the Safdie brothers, and their next movie that I'll be talking about later is Anxiety the movie times 50. Like, I think they just make anxiety-inducing movies. So, moving on.
Fun.
2018.
Another big year for A24.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I mean, it has one of the biggest movies. Prominent releases in 2018 were First Reformed, 8th Grade, Mid-90s, and, of course, Hereditary. Hereditary is still their biggest horror movie. It made $82.5 million on a $10 million budget. So that's
crazy.
Big intake for Ari Aster.
That is crazy.
Directorial debut after years of making really messed up little short films, and obviously Hereditary exposed the world to the messed up mind of Ari Aster that we just keep getting exposed to every few years.
Folks, this is a PSA. It's a public service announcement. When you're driving down the road, don't ever put your head out of a car window. Especially,
you gotta get your breath, Josh. You know, you gotta get your breath because you're choking because you had an allergic reaction to some nuts, some walnuts to a cake.
And just be careful. Be careful. Paper bag, over the mouth with quick breaths in and out. But watch out for power poles.
I just recently rewatched Hereditary for the first time since I watched it in theaters. And it's still upsetting. That is an upsetting little movie, and that movie affected me so hard when I watched it in theaters. That's probably like the scariest movie I've ever seen.
It is effed up. Let's put it that way. If you thought The Witch was messed up,
I like this quite a bit more than The Witch.
This is it's up there.
It's more. It's got
up there.
it's got way more narrative heft to it.
Yes.
It is to some extent an art film, but it feels more mainstream, but people still hate it. I remember that second time I watched it, and the first time you watched it, our theater turned on the movie, and that sucked.
Yeah, they turned on the movie, and it became a joke to them.
Yeah,
and
it's not a joke.
We'll talk about that in a later episode about movie theater etiquette, because we do have that in the hat. We will be talking about movie theater etiquette and our movie theater experiences that we've had, negative and positive, throughout the tenure of this podcast. But yes, going back to what we were talking about, they did turn on the movie, and it kind of took me out of it until like they were told to shut the hell up, and once they did, and we were able to get back into the movie in the third act,
it's got a big ending.
It's got a big ending.
It's
got a big. It
makes me feel a lot of things.
Yeah,
because it tries to play uplifting, which makes it even more disturbing.
Yeah.
I think that's what Ari Aster does, man. He does that in all of his movies.
Yeah.
But the Oscars are still highly criticized for, I'm going to say it, for snubbing Toni Collette for Best Actress.
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought she gave the best performance that year.
Yeah.
And she did not even get a nomination, which is insane. First Reformed, starring Ethan Hawke, was nominated for Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars. And Eighth Grade was Bo Burnham's directorial debut. And Mid-90s was Jonah Hill's directorial debut. So there was a lot of directorial debuts.
Fun fact. Eighth Grade put me to sleep.
You were tired.
I was tired, and it put me.
You should probably rewatch it
to sleep,
because that score goes, man. That soundtrack goes.
I would give that movie another.
It's a good movie.
Chance.
That is a really good. Like, it has somewhat of an artful approach, like A24, but I still found it to be very accessible.
It might honestly have the Scott Pilgrim effect, where it's like I was really harsh on a movie when it first came out, but then rewatching it later, I was like, yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, maybe that's not bad, because I love Eighth Grade.
You are at the forefront of that.
I remember I bought that score. That score was like this electronic sort of score, and I was like, oh god, these scenes are incredible. But yeah, I want to see more directed movies from Bo Burnham. I know Inside was incredible, but I want to see like him actually like do another movie like Eighth Grade. You haven't seen Mid-90s, have you? With Jonah Hill, the sort of like a skateboarding movie that takes place in the mid-90s.
What was the movie that didn't Bo Burnham do another movie?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Eighth Grade is the only one. Inside, if you want to count Inside.
What was the movie?
He's directed all of his specials.
What was the movie that he was in then that we watched?
Promising Young Woman.
Yeah,
he didn't direct that.
He was directed that. Okay, I'm sorry.
He was sorry. Not an A24 movie. Josh getting off script.
Sorry.
Getting off.
We were talking about Bo Burnham, and
yeah, Bo Burnham's been in some movies. He's been in a couple movies. We like Bo Burnham. I know he catches some flack by whoever, but we like him. We think he's amazing.
Who?
I do. Who? I'm just talking about in general, the world. Whenever something becomes popular on TikTok, people are like, "Oh, this is cringe." I'm like, "No, this is awesome.
This is
great.
This is
accept it." Yeah, this is mid. This is mid-90s, directed by Jonah Hill. 2019. Honestly, 2019 might be like my favorite year for movies, and A24 played a huge part in that, with releases from The Last Black Man in San Francisco, The Farewell, Midsommar, The Lighthouse, Waves, and Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems.
Yeah, I can't do it.
And I was his muse in Uncut Gems.
So you've only seen one of these.
I've only seen Midsommar.
Dude, this is so unfortunate.
I know.
All these movies are so good.
I know.
Like The Last Black Man in San Francisco has constantly remained a top tier A24 movie for me. It was my introduction to Jonathan Majors. I don't know.
No, we don't talk about him.
But that movie is there's something really personal about that movie that just really resonated with me. And Midsommar may have messed me up even more than Hereditary.
Listen, okay, so Midsommar I didn't get to watch in theaters.
You didn't.
And I didn't, that's unfortunate. It is unfortunate.
Shame.
I wonder why I didn't get to watch it in theaters.
You could have went and watched anytime you wanted to.
At 3 hours in length and...
It's 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours in length,
okay,
whatever. At 9 o'clock
Let me explain Midsommar. Okay.
I was going to. That's fine. But...
listen, they need my explanation.
Oh.
So it may have messed me up even more than Hereditary because I was already in a heightened state of anxiety and depression at the time when I watched it, which is not a good movie to watch. It's not a good movie to watch.
If you're having an off day, don't.
But I was like, you know what? I loved Hereditary so much, I gotta watch this. And right off the bat, this movie's like, oh no, this is gonna be, oh no. a suicide double homicide right off the bat. Like,
right off the bat.
And but honestly, the movie really like put me in a high at the end until that high faded, and I was like, oh no, this movie, I'm going into a deep depression. But yeah, I had to go watch it at night whenever I felt like I was right to watch it. It was on July 4th. And I was like, Josh, I'm going to watch it tonight. Do you want to go watch it? And you couldn't make it. And I was like, well, tough luck. I'm going to watch it. And I brought chamomile tea in with me. I did take a Benadryl on purpose this time, just to relax. And I was wide awake the whole movie. I was like, oh, this is so disturbing.
He took the Benadryl to relax. He didn't relax.
I'll say this: I would have hated to see myself without the chamomile tea and the Benadryl, because my stomach was like in knots for like a month.
You know, the thing, it's the scene of them all around while Florence Pugh is on the ground screaming is one of those scenes that you see all the time. Like, you know, when you type in Midsommar,
when she's crying,
picture of that comes
and everybody
up.
joins in.
Everyone joins in.
Everybody sinks. Yeah.
That's creepy as hell, man.
It is, but I've seen where for some people Midsommar is a comfort movie. It's not for me. It makes me feel like trash.
A comfort movie,
especially that scene, because she is now with a group of people that can relate to her pain, and they're sinking in with her. I think it's creepy, and I think the ending is very upsetting. But some people are like, "Oh yeah, this is my comfort movie. This is a good for her movie." I'm like, no, it is not.
It's not.
It's not. Okay, I think Ari Aster debunked that. He even said that. He said that it is a toxic relationship movie, which I totally see that.
Yes. Yeah. If you are listening to this podcast right now, I want you to email us at chatfromahatcast@gmail.com, and I want a 2-page dissertation of why this is your comfort movie. And I want reasons, I want time codes, I want specifics as to why. Because I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mental health.
I think my sister said that. My little sister said it was a comfort. I was like, what?
Your little sister?
Yeah, she's old enough to watch this. I mean,
No. I'm just saying your little sister thinks this is a comfort movie?
My big sister would never watch this movie.
Honey.
Yeah. It's a thing. It's one of those things maybe we just don't understand because we're men. It's one of those things.
Maybe.
We just don't get, you know?
Maybe. That might honestly be true.
But it's not a cover. I've watched it 3 times, and let's just say they were spread out. They were like years spread out.
Can't do those back to back to back.
No.
You and I, Nancy, watched that movie, correct?
Yeah. And then I rewatched it again before watching Beau Was Afraid of
God,
about
I'm
a month ago.
Jesus.
It wasn't that bad. It did not mess me up this last time. I was like, I can kind of see the comfort, but no. But no. But
the comfort is all the flowers.
A24 this year was shut out at the Oscars, and but did great in the independent awards circuit, especially Uncut Gems and The Farewell.
Uncut Gems.
Adam Sandler won Best Male Lead at the Independent Spirit Awards, and a lot of people think he was deserving of the Best Actor at the Oscars, similar to Toni Collette the year prior. And I totally agree. I looked at all the performances that year. I'm like, Adam Sandler was better than all these. That movie is a ride. That is anxiety. The movie. It is. And then it works its way all the way to this end. And you're like, oh, thank God we're there. And like, oh no, this other thing happened. And I recommend it. It curses more than any movie that's ever existed.
Well,
people talk over each other the whole movie, cursing. Kevin Garnett's in it as himself. It's
just cursing.
Adam Sandler is a scumbag in that movie, but you feel bad for him because he just keeps losing over and over again.
That's his own fault for being a scumbag.
Moving on to the biggest A24 movie year. 2020 was, as we all know, was a rocky year for
2020,
cinema.
The world ended. Than A24,
there was only 3 A24 movies in 2020, and I didn't see a daggone one of them.
So here's what happened in 2020, folks. A24 movies came to life. It Comes at Night came to life.
That came to life. And there was a little bit Hereditary.
A little bit of Midsommar.
A lot of Uncut Gems.
Everybody was isolated in their own little places, screaming into crowds.
Yeah.
But
there was only three movies that were distributed that year, and that was First Cow, On the Rocks, and Boy State. I didn't see any of them.
I haven't seen any of those.
They were very limited releases.
Moving on
to 2021. The bounce back year for all movies, maybe. But I do think A24 bounced back in a somewhat big way in 2021 with releases from Saint Maud, Minari, which you haven't seen, Zola, The Green Knight, Lamb, Red Rocket, and The Tragedy of Macbeth. The Green Knight.
I've seen 2 of those.
So The Green Knight is still one of the most beautiful looking movies I've seen in theaters.
Yes.
I was just, I didn't understand everything the movie was saying. I'm not supposed to, but I do love that movie.
Yes.
It's that. I remember looking at the budget for that after I got done. I was like, oh man, this had to be like $90 million. It was like $15 million. I was like, how on earth did they do any of this stuff? I totally understand it. It's a movie that was catapulted into the mainstream, and it's not that at all. It is a very, very artistic, weird, narratively almost jumbled movie. And Saint Maud was not catapulted into the mainstream. That is a disturbing.
Saint Maud is also one of those movies that is disturbing almost to a fault. By the fault being that it's a little too on the nose of what it's trying to say.
I do like what it becomes at the end. I think it has one of the more impactful endings.
Yes,
I agree. It almost gets your heart racing. It's like, oh my God, that thing just happened.
Absolutely agree. And it is also one of those. I love a movie that leaves
a messed up movie
that leaves an open-ended. What do you think happened situation?
This didn't do that. But...
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Well,
I don't think it did.
It doesn't. I don't think it does, but I have read online where people think that it is... that it really... I don't want to say it by spoiling the movie. That it does have a bit of an open-ended thing.
Sure.
Affair. So, anyway.
A24 at the Oscars with... big follow-up year. Not a lot of movies came out in 2020, so 2021, we got back into the swing of things. Minari snagged some Oscar nominations in the Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Score, Best Original Screenplay, Best Actor, and Best Supporting Actress categories, while winning Best Supporting Actress. That is
They came out to
Minari
play.
Is a lovely little movie. Most of it is in...
I've heard of
most of it's in South Korean, but it's about a South Korean family that immigrates to, I want to say, like, Georgia.
Okay.
They did. I think they initially moved to California. Then they decided to start like a farm in Georgia, and that's a very moving emotion. It has Steven Yeun from The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Glenn from The Walking Dead, and he got nominated for Best Actor. Did not win, but I recommend that one for a Best Picture nominee. There's still a lot of people that haven't seen it because it was just one of those years where that came out in. Like way past what usually would have been eligible for Oscars. I think it came out like February or March of when the Oscars were about to happen. Because remember, that's when Judas and the Black Messiah came straight to HBO Max. Like, oh wow, like this usually would have came out in November, December. So things were a little weird. In I guess that was 2022 then, in early 2022. But 2022 is where we're at now, and I think objectively the biggest year for A24. Okay. Holy cow. Tons of things. I think it catapulted itself.
You forgot Supersonic in there as well.
I didn't. What are you talking about?
You didn't bring up Supersonic earlier, did you?
That was a long time ago.
Okay.
Oasis Supersonic. I did bring it up.
You did.
Yeah,
you did.
Because
I interrupted.
We literally
you.
talked about it.
I interrupted you.
We talked about Amy because of that. Yeah. Oh,
okay,
God, Josh, get it.
Pull
it together.
Am tired.
So this catapulted. Its status even more into the mainstream with releases from X, Everything Ever All at Once, Men, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Bodies, 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 Pearl, After Sun, The Whale, and White Noise.
So how many movies? Was that 10?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9... So, I mean, like, these weren't the only A24 releases last year. These were the ones that I've seen. Actually, I have not seen Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, but it just looks so cute. I'd like to watch it.
I'd like to see it.
And despite it being a massive year in the horror genre for A24, I mean, like, all those horror movies came to our theater, if I'm not mistaken. Every
read them off again.
X.
Did.
Men.
Yes.
Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Yes.
Pearl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every one of those. We got them all.
And White Noise.
Bodies was there like 2 weeks, but
I missed it. I had to watch it on.
Yeah, but it was there.
Yeah, it's good. It is very good. It's very unpredictable. White Noise was it has an Adam Driver in it. That was a straight to Netflix movie. That's just like I don't understand that really. But despite it being a massive year in the horror genre, it ended up being Everything Everywhere.
Yes.
The Whale and After Sun that made noise in the awards circuit this year. The Whale won for Best Actor. and best makeup and hairstyling. So it won 2 Oscars. While Everything Everywhere All at Once won a historic 7 out of 11 Oscars.
Everything Everywhere All at Once won everything. So
it marked the second Best Picture win for A24 after Moonlight. It's also the highest grossing A24 movie with $140 million, and that's for some studios that might not be big, but for a movie that was like a $20 million movie or whatever, in a movie that's as wild and weird as that's a big deal. And then it won Best Picture. Yeah. It did that. And I'm like, wow, this really sets a precedent for what can win.
It literally resurrected careers, that movie.
It absolutely did, yeah. So, this also makes a strong case with that one, Lady Bird, is my favorite. I've seen it like 5 times. Yeah. And it's just been out for over a year. And I don't know, there's something about it, man. Just really super unique, and it's super weird and ridiculous. Like funny, laugh out loud funny, but then there's moments in it that really, really get me. I gave it a perfect score. It's my favorite movie of last year, and on top of giving that a perfect score, I also gave After Sun a perfect score. But I have not revisited After Sun because it's such a heavy movie, and it ruined my life when I watched it. It's a movie that's it haunts me. That movie, it's about a father-daughter relationship. It takes place in the past. It splits between present and past. It's kind of it's kind of a suicide kind of movie, honestly. So it's like where it ends, I'm like, oh my god, that's rough. So I recommend After Sun as a one-time watch. Give it 10. give it a 10 out of 10.
Give it a 10. Move along.
And then the actor Paul Mescal was nominated for Best Actor.
Move along.
So we watched Men, X, and Pearl.
Men, X, and Pearl. Yes.
All good.
All
Pearl.
good.
There's just Pearl.
Pearl.
That Pearl.
That Pearl.
Golly, that
she
Pearl.
She is a star.
Yeah, I mean, I liked X.
I'm a star.
X was a cool little period piece, little slasher. I don't want to call it like an art film because it wasn't. It was just a really well made, very highly graphic
slasher for me.
Sexually and violent slasher. Yep. But Pearl, that was a psychological
horror thriller.
Very good period piece.
Yes,
takes place in the 20s. Oh god, that performance is just that 9-minute monologue where the camera doesn't leave Mia Goth is just. It's like, I don't know how she didn't get nominated. This is as happy as I am to see Everything Everywhere All at Once break free into the Oscars and win so much. I'm still waiting for them to nominate legitimately great horror performances. Yeah, because this is right up there with Toni Collette.
I mean, it's the same thing. You talk about the monologue scene. It's the same thing with the end credits. It's all one take.
And that was just one of those things where they didn't plan on doing that, but then they told, she was holding it, and they were like, okay, let's hold this. And it's playing this extravagant music with these old-timey credits. I'm like, oh god, this is disturbing.
This is exactly.
But that movie reaches a crescendo at the end. I don't know if you remember the dinner table scene where he's having dinner with...
Yes!
That is highly disturbing.
Yes!
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
That's a good one, and of course the scarecrow scene in the first act is something.
Yeah,
that's something to behold that you're not going to see in a movie.
And nothing else.
Very much looking forward to Maxine to complete
to complete the trilogy.
The trilogy. It takes place in the 80s. I don't know if it'll be as good as Pearl, but
it could be. It could be.
So now we're in the current year, 2023, and you've seen one of these. When You Finish Saving the World. And Beau is Afraid. And When You Finish Saving the World is a very small movie that I have no clue how our theater got. Yeah. No clue. But I really liked it.
Because it played one time a day.
My guess is that it was January and there just wasn't much coming out.
Yeah. But I'm glad we did because it was an enjoyable
that was an interesting mother-son dynamic movie. It reminded me a little bit of this movie called The Squid and the Whale that came out in 2005. But that was a little bit more disturbing than this. I thought this had a nice little ending to it. It reminded me of maybe a less accessible Lady Bird. Not as direct. Lady Bird's a little bit better directed, but this had some interesting ideas. And of course, Beau is Afraid, which I've talked about on a past episode. It was just that movie.
A rip-roaring good
Ari
time.
Aster literally just made that movie for himself, and I love it for it.
Not a thing wrong with that.
No, it cost a lot of money, and it did not make a lot of money.
Well.
Well, we'll get
that was his pet
We'll get
project.
you watching that when it comes out. Still don't know if you'll like it. I loved it.
Well,
but some prominent upcoming releases for A24 this year are Past Lives, and I was shocked to see this. Steph Curry, Underrated. It's a documentary about Steph Curry from college till now.
Oh, that's cool.
It's coming straight to Apple TV.
Okay.
And it comes out July 21st. And Past Lives is, from everything I'm hearing, is looking to be a major awards contender after it comes out June the 2nd.
Oh.
So it's not going to get I don't think it's going to get like a big wide release.
It won't get a wide release.
If it gets traction like Everything Everywhere All at Once did, it could see like a little bit of an expansion. But I'm hearing some great things. That has amazing reviews. Hey, listen, if it's getting good reviews and it has A24 beside of it, call me an A24 shill. I'm going to watch that movie. I don't care. I'm going to watch it.
Maxine should be out at some point, right? Is that coming out this year? Or is that coming out beginning of next year?
I don't know.
I thought it was around.
It'd be cool if it was later this year, though, wouldn't it?
October or
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't be surprised if it was 2024. Though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they got Pearl and X out back to back relatively.
They made them back,
quickly,
but they made them back to back.
They
They hadn't made Maxine yet. They just threw in that teaser at the end of Pearl. Just says that they hadn't filmed the movie yet. That had to be hell on Mia Goth to film those movies back to back because she's playing two.
She's a pro.
She's playing 2 roles in X.
She is a pro.
Yeah, I mean she's
technically playing 3 roles.
Not in X. She's playing 2.
No, I mean like in.
Oh, she's playing 3 roles though.
In 3 roles in the whole.
She's playing 3 roles as a whole. Yeah,
the whole back to back to back.
But A20 when it comes to all the Oscar nominations combined, A24 is nominated for 49 Oscars. Wow. It is 116 with it seems like the bulk of that being Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Right.
But if you I don't know if you knew this, A24 produces some shows, and I would say some daggone good shows. Some of these shows are incredible. Beef, which just recently came on Netflix. It stars Steven Yeun. That's a mini, I think a 9-episode miniseries that just like gets crazier and crazier. Then it gets emotional and it's hilarious and it's disturbing. That I recommend that to anybody. It's new. The Carmichael Show, which I've talked about. I think I talked about in shows that one of our first episodes where we talked about shows that were canceled too soon.
Yep.
That is a really good laugh track sitcom produced by A24, but it's good. They do Euphoria, which is one of the most popular shows.
Okay.
Might be a little bit of style over substance, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Rami on Hulu, which I really, really enjoy, and Z-Way, which is a satirical talk show. I think they got canceled on Showtime though.
Well.
But they're always looking to expand. I'm sure there's going to be more excellent shows coming out from A24, and I know I only mentioned 2 movies coming out this year, but there are others.
Yeah.
They just maybe haven't gained the traction, or they didn't catch my eye. Like that Steph Curry thing. I was like, huh? Steph Curry. Like, I'm going to watch that. Hey, I like basket. A24 knows what they're doing with me now. They're combining basketball in now.
If only A24 would have done Air.
I mean, it would have been a little bit artsier. Would have had less successful of a soundtrack.
Yeah, probably. That synth score.
Let's move on to our personal top 10
10s?
A24 movies.
Okay.
We want to go back and forth.
We can if you want to. Let's go. Do you have your honorable mentions? Let's talk about them first.
Do I want to just name them all?
Just name them off.
I got Waves.
Okay.
Pearl.
Okay.
The Green Knight. Midsommar and The Witch.
Oh wow. Okay. I have I have The Disaster Artist. I actually have 6 now that I didn't even think about that. Men, Lady Bird, The Lobster, X, and Supersonic. I threw Supersonic on there at the end because I forgot. So I forgot that was the thing.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I have 10.
Okay.
Just making sure I had 10. Number 10.
Number 10. Yeah, I'm throwing it in there. I'm throwing Beau's Afraid.
I figured you would.
10.
I figured you would.
I think it's the only movie in my top 10 that I don't give a 10 out of 10 to. Yeah, I give it a 9.5 out of 10. It's close. Okay. Maybe down the line it will. Yeah, that's a crazy little movie.
My number 10 is Midsommar.
Okay. I wish you could have made mine.
It's creepy.
Yeah. It's
creepy.
Very, very good.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
Number 9.
Minari.
Okay.
Which is the Steven Yeun movie I was talking about.
Okay. My number 9 is Ex Machina.
Ooh. A little low.
Well, compared to what
might be a little low on
compared to what I have everything up there.
I remember when Ex Machina was my number 2 or 1.
Yeah.
There was a time.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're number 9.
No, my number 8.
Oh yeah, you're number 8. I'm sorry.
My number 8 is Moonlight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 8 is The Whale.
Really? Gosh.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. I love that
Couldn't
movie.
buy it. I do like The Well.
I love that movie, man.
I really do not like that ending. The more I see it on TikTok and people make fun of it, I was like, that's valid. That
It is
ending's
valid.
goofy.
It's valid.
It's a goofy ending.
But
it takes away, because I'm feeling so much emotion.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, they sucked it out of me.
But I think the performance leading up to that, I can forgive.
The performance leading up to before he sticks his head up like,
no, all of it, just the whole movie. I can overlook.
I think all
that.
The performances are really good in that movie.
And the thing of it is, for me, and I've always said this, it's if a movie doesn't stick the landing, then the movie just, it's just, if it doesn't stick the landing, then
I really hate that ending.
It's
literally the last 10 seconds, though. That's all.
Right. It's one of the exceptions I can make. I can make the exception just because of how good that cast is.
It's funny because my next one is 7, which is After Sun.
Okay.
After Sun has a similar kind of like a extravagant, like Beyond Our Realm ending, but it hits so hard compared to, because all the things that it shows you out the movie, then it shows you at the end. I'm like, oh my god, that's. And it reminded me a lot of the ending of The Well, but just done a lot better.
Yeah.
So that's my 7 is After Sun. What's your 7?
My number 7 is Moonlight.
Okay, you had it higher than me.
Yep. By 1.
Do you think Moonlight's a 10 out of 10 movie? Like I said, everything from 9 to 1 is a 10 out of 10.
I would say it's close. Okay. I would say it's close. I would need to watch it again.
I think it's literally one of the most perfect 3-act structures I've seen in a movie.
I think on an emotional depth, it is a 10 out of 10.
Performances are great. The performances are great. The cinematography is great.
I would have to watch it again before I would concrete say it's a 10 out of 10, but I remember seeing it and enjoying it so much. I think that it never gets
boring because each act does its own thing. It's a different part of the guy's life, and it becomes a different. Everyone's like a different. Like one's like a coming of age, one's a romance, one's a.
Yeah.
But yeah, my number 6 is Ex Machina.
Okay.
Yeah.
My number 6 is The Witch.
Okay. I think you like The Witch a little bit more than me, maybe.
Probably.
Or I've seen more A24 movies.
It's possible. It's possible.
Maybe. My number 5 is Hereditary.
Really?
Yeah. It couldn't be. It can't beat these other 4.
Really?
For me.
Okay.
And it's great. It's a perfect little movie.
Sure. My number 5 is Pearl.
Oh wow! Really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Pearl.
Absolutely.
Big on Pearl. Pearl's like a 9 out of 10 for me.
Dude, I love that movie. I do. I think
I'd like to watch it again.
I think that's a movie that I could just pop in and watch and not feel that it's boring or old, or it's just because of her performance. It's because of her performance.
Yeah.
And it's like we talked about, the 9-minute monologue, the end credits, the whole third act of that movie is so suspenseful and thrilling.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do a lot. It's mostly her.
Yeah.
Just on her performance alone.
My number 4 is Room.
Really?
Yeah, there was a time this was 1.
Yeah, I know.
There's 3 other ones I like more.
Okay.
That's how it is. Love it, but no.
My number 4 is Hereditary.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. My number 3 is The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Okay. Never seen it. So
literally some of the best cinematography I've ever seen, especially for a budget like that one. Which it's not much. Not a big budget. It's A24.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My number 3 is Room. Room. Yep.
My number 2 is Lady Bird. Just really love it.
Okay.
Probably like my favorite coming of age movie.
Well, it's great. It's great.
It's so lean. It's like 90 minutes. There's like no fat on that movie.
So, my number 2 is Green Knight.
Wow, you know what? There was a
dude. You know I love that movie.
After I watched The Green Knight, I did put it up high.
Yeah.
But after I've sat on it more for a year and a half, there's just these other ones are just more accessible.
Sure.
It's not likely.
Sure.
I don't think it's likely I'm going to pop in The Green Knight in my room. First off, it's going to be hard to see because there's parts of where the cinematography is dark and it only works in a theater setting. Yeah. And because of that, I'm more likely to watch a Moon Knight or maybe even a Beau is Afraid, which is just so exciting and thrilling.
Sure.
The Green Knight is a theater experience for me, but I remember I did give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I don't stick with that 10 out of 10 anymore. Maybe like a 9.3.
To me, that movie is the part that you and I always talk about, and I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil the movie.
Just say it. It's at the Giants.
It's with the Giants. Yeah.
It's incredible, right?
It is incredible.
For its budget, it's like, whoa, how did they do that?
And to me, when I was kind of not iffy about that movie, but I was enthralled in the movie. But when the Giants come up on the set, or on the set, when they come on the screen, I remember looking at you and Nancy is like, oh, so this is what we're getting into. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
It's not even like a thing that like is important for the rest of the movie, but whenever it happens, like, oh my god, this is like awe-inspiring.
It's breathtaking.
And not to mention the whole like 8 to 10 minute long ending where it shows things that could have happened, and just that whole crescendo of just events that are happening, and then the lead up to the ending. I was like, oh, that's perfect. It ends kind of like on a joke, and like this. Yeah, I do really love that movie.
I mean, we know what number one is.
My number one is Everything Ever All at Once.
Same.
Really?
Same.
You liked it that much?
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a while I didn't know if you liked it that much.
It's
so weird.
No, that's why I like it.
It's so weird, but oddly accessible.
Yes.
I've watched this movie.
Yeah.
I've made my parents watch this movie twice, and they got it.
Yeah.
They understood it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that Rakakuni. The fact that they got Randy Newman to play the voice of that, because it plays off a Pixar trope there. It's just amazing. People who have not watched the movie are like, what on earth is he talking about?
What are y'all talking about?
But trust me,
there's a
reason why this won Best Picture last year, and it won so many acting. And Stephanie Hsu, to me, probably like my favorite performance in the movie. And she didn't win. Somehow Jamie Lee Curtis won over her. I don't know how. But Jamie Hsu, that's a name to look out for, because she is the heart and soul of that movie. Oh god, incredible.
3 words: hot dog fingers.
Now, Jamie Lee Curtis, the hot dog finger version of Jamie Lee Curtis has a really nice backstory.
People are listening right now, and they're like, "What are you all talking about?"
No, I do think that for the little arc that she has, it is nice. It's just nowhere near our 3 leads, and I'm going to call them leads. There are 3 like characters that are part of the family. Are just remarkable. I just
would have been happy doing taxes.
It moves me so much. The end of that daggone movie.
It's good.
Gosh, those rocks. The scene with the rocks, where there's something about that scene that makes me tear up every time, and it's so goofy. And I'm like, no, this works. Like, this totally works. It's all subtitled, rocks talking with googly. Well, their googly eyes come later, but that is the A24.
I mean, it's not a question that the artsy fartsy people are the people picking everywhere. Or Everything Everywhere All at Once is their number one.
I know that it's art. I know that it has some artsy fartsy elements.
Yeah,
but
I know.
But but it's very funny and comedic. It is very funny. And I mean, a way better multiverse movie than Doctor Strange.
God, yes.
Which I like that movie, but nah, this ain't as good. It ain't as good as
it. Ain't as good as this. Ain't as good.
So that is the A24 episode. That is it. That's
it.
all I got, folks. I don't know what else you wanted. I talked about it all as much as I could. So get off my back. I'm prejudging people.
No. It's your pick, by the way.
Let's pick next week.
Is it your pick?
Yes, my pick.
Okay. It's your pick.
Let's hope it's a
good one.
Long December, and there's reason to believe.
What are you singing?
I'm singing Long December. Here we go. Oh God, I hope it's good. I'll put this back.
No, you won't.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Oh man.
Uh-oh.
MCU movie rankings.
Uh-oh. Oh man. Oh no! It means I have to watch.
Here's why I'm glad we've had these last 2 episodes, because we were getting pretty music heavy there for a while. We had like a lot of episodes that were music, and now we're back into the movies, and this is easy for me. I'm constantly updating this.
How are we going to do this?
We're just going
to do. Are we doing the tier list? Are we just giving them like letter grades? What are we doing?
Let's do a tier. Let's do a tier for this.
Okay, yeah, because the ones that the ones I haven't seen, I can put in.
We can still implement what's our top S and what's our bottom F or whatever.
Sure, and not seen because I still haven't seen.
You haven't seen one movie.
2 movies.
Yeah, you haven't seen 2.
I haven't seen Ant-Man and I haven't seen Guardians 3.
But not want to go out and watch Guardians.
Well, here's what's going to happen. This is based.
I guess you could catch Ant-Man on Disney.
This is going to be solely based on the movies. Yeah, that's fine.
No TV shows.
No TV shows. I have not seen enough of them.
Yeah.
If I want to throw one in there or 2 of them in there, we can. But sorry, folks, the TV shows just ain't that good.
Some of them are okay, but
we're
just going to talk about the movies. We're just going to talk about the movies.
Talk about the movies. We're going to talk about the 35 movies that are in the MCU now.
Cool. It'd be cool if you could cram the other 2, but if you can't, it's fine.
I mean, between now and next week, I've got a few days that I might be able to catch Ant-Man, maybe.
Here's the thing. We're watching
Give me the paper.
Sorry,
Thank you.
We're watching Across the Spider-Verse next week, and that might be so good. They're like, oh, we gotta go watch this again. So we might just, so like us throwing in a Guardians is just might be. I expect Across the Universe is gonna be better than Guardians. Here's why I say that, because Into the Spider-Verse is the best comic book movie I've ever seen, at least for me. So I have reason to believe this is gonna be just as good. Why not? Why not? Why don't I believe that? I gotta go in with high hopes. Oh no, what's the point of living if you don't have high hopes? That is the episode.
Good. Where can people find us, Caleb?
They can find us on Facebook by typing in Chat From A Hat. They can do the same on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and you can email us at chatfromahatcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, go and subscribe to that TikTok channel because we're going to have some fun, cool stuff coming on there soon, I assure you. Probably not.
Maybe not.
But maybe not. Like, share, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Share, get people listening.
Pirate it somehow.
Download these episodes, put them on a disc, and give them to your friends. Do you remember back in like the Napster days when you would download or Kazaa or whatever you had it, and you would download a song, and then it would be like, in the middle of the song because it would have like that piracy thing on it. Do you know what I'm talking about? You don't remember this?
No, that never happened.
Okay,
to me.
never mind.
Nah.
Anyway, sometimes when you would download songs, it would play
really?
like the first like 30 seconds, and then it would sound like a dial-up connection is what it would sound like.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was awful. Do that to these podcast episodes and give them to your friends.
Yeah, good luck with that. We'll get you.
Yeah, we'll get you.
With the money that we're
blow
making.
the speakers out of their car. That's what.
That'll show them.
That'll show them. Well, folks. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Chat From A Hat. I am Josh Brown. For Caleb Luther.
That's me.
We will talk to you next week about some MCU movie rankings.